Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.
Oh, Mark, you're in so much trouble. How's everyone doing? You better be dancing. I see you, Cop Patrol. Why aren't you dancing? Come on, Dale McEwen. Get dancing.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE, welcome back to the channel that does the stupidity what James Corden did to nighttime chat shows. God, that guy's fucking annoying. Like, why did he go over to America to represent British comedians? Because he's, like, literally insufferable to watch. Just my opinion. Fuck you, James Corden. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. We are going to be going over to the ASYLUM Discord. Sorry, I forgot to put my background. Give me one sec. Breaking the magic here, because you see it's just the video I've got saved on my YouTube playlist. There we go. So, yeah, we're going to go over to the ASYLUM and talk to the Hammer. A lot of flat earthers are, you know, running for the hills at the sound of the name of FTFE. They literally sprint. It's incredible. There's like a flat earther shaped hole in the wall. It's 2D. And yeah, so Hammer, who's kind of running the ASYLUM Discord at the moment, he's going to have a 1v1 chat with me. Although there is a couple of idiots in the text chat that may join. So we'll go over and see what is going on over there. I hope you all have words. Bloody hell, Craig. I hope you have all had a good week. Words. Let's try that again. I hope you've all had a good week, and the weekend is fast upon us, and I'm going to ruin it by feeding you stupidity at the start. Obviously, we know the Earth is not flat. That's why debate has quotation marks in at the title of my stream and in the intro, because it's not a debate. I am not debating that the Earth is flat. I am either teaching people that don't understand anything physics or, you know, just shouting at morons. Both of them are quite fun. Just before I get started, I would like to say hello to the subscriber who bumped into me as I was going into the gym today for back and shoulders. It was very nice to bump into a fan and say hello, and you know, I always feel a bit awkward when that happened. That's now the 4th time that someone's met me in the street. So if you're watching tonight, hello. It was lovely to meet you in the streets of Dunfermline, and if anyone does see me, then please don't be ever afraid to come up and say hello, and you know, I'll happily stop and act all shy and awkward for you. Right, so Discord, let's go do it. I do apologise in advance for, you know, your brains falling out. Oh, I don't actually see him in there. Where is he? Right, give me 1 sec. With voice chat. Right, well there is one person in the Discord that is making a bunch of claims. So we'll 1 sec. Let me get over there. So there's a guy called Trollon here who I did a stream, a video a while ago debunking the whole sextant nonsense, and then Loki Fishmeyer's offered to give out a sextant. Trollon is claiming that he mailed Loki Fishmeyer's and has never got the sextant, but I don't believe it. I have no evidence of that. And if he did, then, you know, there's probably a reason why he didn't get it. But anyway, so streaming text chat, where are we? So I'm just trying to find what bloody voice room he's in. I literally don't see him in the voice chat. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Hammer, I don't see you in the voice chat. I don't see a voice chat with you in. I just responded to Trolloon. Send me proof, and if it's true, I'll talk to him. I literally don't see. Am I being dumb here? There we go.
The room.
Here we go. I found you.
FTFE. What's up, Chief?
Oh, what a pleasure. We got FTFE.
Hey, Caddy, how you doing?
Welcome.
Wow. What a lucky day.
Hello, guys. How are we doing today in the madhouse?
We're a little bit we're a little bit light, but hopefully we'll get some people trickling in. But we got some quality fellows here today.
Cool.
Mr.
I see
FTFE, how are you?
Trolloon in here. Do they want to just speak up a sec?
Hello.
Hey, so here's the thing, right? If you contacted Loki Fishmars and you asked for the sextant, I don't know why he didn't give it to you, all right? That was for him to deal with. If you send me evidence that you have contacted him, I will ask him why he hasn't given you the sextant. But I don't know, all right? As far as I'm aware, nobody has contacted him, and I have no evidence otherwise. So do you have evidence that you messaged him or mailed him or anything?
Yes and no. I sent him an email, but he did not respond, so he could say he did not get it. I did talk to him on Discord.
Show me the email that you sent? If you take a screenshot of your sent emails, you know, so I know it's been sent.
Yeah. Now I can also tell you I talked to him on Discord, and his explanation was, I'm only willing to give sextant to famous flat earthers who have a YouTube channel, and I want to see them, you know, blunder with it basically, and he didn't want to give it to random people.
Well, that's not what he said to me.
explanation.
It was any flat earther that was willing to do it and meet his specifications. All right. So if you send me evidence that you contacted him, I'll speak to him on your behalf. Okay. But I need evidence that you have actually contacted him.
All right. Coming up.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Thanks.
No worries. Okay, so yeah, that's that done. So Hammer and I have decided to have a little 1v1. But if there's any other flat earthers that would like to get involved in the discussion, I'm quite willing to let them get in on it if Hammer's okay with that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. How's APOC doing?
He's well. We actually had a surprise visit from him. I don't know if you saw. We got the Jaren interview went off yesterday, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And then we should have a continuation of that on Thursday.
Yes. Yeah, I've been speaking to Jaron. He was saying about coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Right.
And,
So,
Apocryphon, excuse me, to answer your question, Apocryphon, he's in good spirits. So he's hoping he's had some more tests done, and he's hoping they have something that's going to be able to, get him in the clear. You know what I mean?
yeah, cool. I mean, I know he's a flat earther, but he's a nice guy. I've spoken to him quite a bit, and I hope he's healthy.
That's what we look forward to. Absolutely.
So,
He
Hammer,
was
have
missed.
we actually debated before?
I think so. Maybe. Once or twice. 3 times, the lady. I don't know. There's, it's interesting, right? Because, I don't know if you've caught a couple of times, I've given some appreciation to PhD Tony and what he's been doing recently, because it's been long needed, in my opinion, right?
Yeah. Tony has an ability that very few people have, and that's to tell me to shut the fuck up, and I do it. So that is sometimes needed. My wife is actually wondering how she could get that ability.
Well, maybe PhD Tony could create a class, an online class that he could sell to people for, a reasonable price.
How to shut the fuck up, FTFE. Yeah, that could be a killer. That could sell a lot of classes.
People would want to acquire that skill.
Yeah. Right, so Hammer, you're a flat earther, which obviously I think is fucking ridiculous, as we all know. Why are you a flat earther?
There's many reasons, FTFE, but that's one of the issues with the argument. We get too personal with it. I can give you, my evidence, my personal, what's the testimony, I guess, if you'd like. But yeah, I mean, the facts are the facts to me. That's one of the things that I found interesting. So, I mean, one question that I have for you real quick is, do you agree with MC Toon on saying that a nautical mile can be calculated planar?
What do you mean calculated planar? I mean, a nautical mile is based on the degrees of the Earth. How did he describe it being? I don't understand the context of the question.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get you more context. I apologize. It was a chat question. So maybe if the gentleman's there, please feel free to give us more context. But that's what I got from him so far. So I'll do some more research on that for you if you'd like.
I mean, from the way I would describe what a nautical mile is a nautical mile represents a degree of latitude. And a degree of latitude is kind of defined by the Earth's curvature, right? So, I
Wrong.
Not wrong. That's literally what a
No, it's wrong.
is.
It's an elevation angle from Polaris. Yeah, it requires
No.
a flat plane. So 1 degree is
that's completely
equivalent to 60 nautical miles.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just defined as 1 degree of latitude, and in fact,
Which is an elevation angle. We need a baseline for that.
I was in the middle of talking, right? And the interesting thing is that what a nautical mile is, it doesn't always exactly match up to what latitude is, because the how many miles there is in each latitude actually changes slightly. And the whole, just before you jump in, you need a flat baseline to calculate an elevation angle is entirely false anyway.
Can you define for us what is an elevation angle, please?
Yeah, it's an angle between a point and something else. I mean, you
Can you post the
angle.
definition?
I haven't
Can
finished
you
responding.
point the definition,
I haven't
please?
finished responding. You can
Post the definition, please.
You can get an elevation angle between any two things. You can get an elevation
So
angle.
can you post that,
I'm
please?
still talking. All
Can you
right?
post that,
I'm
please?
still talking. I'm still
I know.
talking.
Can you post that
be
while
quiet.
you're talking?
Be quiet. No, I can't talk whilst I'm posting. So you will listen and shut the fuck up. So, no. An elevation angle is simply an angle between two things. That's it. You don't need a flat baseline.
Can you post it, please?
I'm still talking.
Can you post it,
I'm
please?
still talking. No, you don't get to talk whilst
Can you
I'm
post the
talking. You
definition
don't get
for
to
an
talk whilst
elevation
I'm
angle,
talking.
please?
George,
Shut
we
up.
understand you wanted to you want him to post it. Let's just let him finish.
I don't
and
need
then
to
we can
post the
ask for him to
definition
post
of an
it.
elevation
All right.
angle because I am telling you what an elevation angle is.
Oh,
And
you're
you
telling
do-
me, but it's wrong there.
I'm still talking. It's amazing how you do not know to shut the fuck up, and people think that FTFE is the problem when quite clearly the only person so far that's interrupted is this dumb fucking moron. Right, so
You're just speaking gibberish.
no,
Elevation angle.
No, I'm still talking.
An angle,
I still
an
haven't
angle
finished
taken
talking.
from a
I still
horizontal
have not
plane.
finished talking.
Well, you
Okay.
kind of puffing your chest and you're,
Yeah.
you know,
So
using
you
naughty
do
language.
not need a flat baseline. You have an imaginary line. That
Really?
is,
For an elevation
no,
angle?
Again, I'm still talking. I haven't finished talking. I will let you know when I'm done, and then you can respond. Shut the
All
fuck
right.
up.
Elevation from what?
Shut
Elevation
the
from what?
fuck up. Thank you very much. So, you.
So
do
it's an
not-
elevation from what?
Literally, 2 words, and you spoke again. Can someone mute him until I'm
elevation
done
from
talking,
what?
please? Could one of the mods just
George,
mute him,
we
and
don't
then
we don't
when I'm
we don't
done,
want to
George,
have
just
to. I don't
fucking
want to have to
Google it.
mute you. I
So
don't want to have
once-
to do the
once I'm
moderating
done
thing.
talking,
Let's just
then
have a
he will-
conversation.
yeah.
I understand. Let's. I'll try and take notes or just let him finish, and you will have all the time you need, George. Please.
Yeah. So again, the baseline is an imaginary line. In the context of celestial navigation, it's an imaginary line from the observer to the horizon. Unless you can't see the horizon, in that case you would use a bubble sextant or something. But the main point is, it is an imaginary line. Not, in any circumstances, the surface of the Earth. You've been listening to Nathan Oakley too much.
Okay, now George can.
Are you done?
Yes.
Can you post the definition of elevation angle, please? in
No,
the chat?
everyone knows what
We're
it is.
waiting. No, we're waiting for your
No,
definition of an elevation
I'm not
angle,
going-
please.
Google
George,
it.
I am not going to post the definition because
I
anyone
want
can
you
get
to
the
George,
post
a
an
definition
simple
themselves.
elevation definition of.
A
I don't
simple way
want
to
to
move
post the
on. A
definition.
simple way to move on to this is just to say, for the record, he provided no backing for his claim, right?
Yeah,
And just
it's
move
like I
on.
don't
All
need
right.
to provide
In that
what,
case-
like 1 plus
in
1
that
equals
case-
2.
I'll provide. An elevation angle is an angle above horizontal.
Or from your zenith.
No, above horizontal. You'll need a protractor to
understand.
measure the angle. You
You
need a
need to Google
baseline,
it. Google
which
it.
is. I was
And
talking.
above
Um,
horizontal of what?
you-
Horizontal
the-
compared to what exactly?
The baseline of the
baseline
protractor.
what?
Of the protractor.
You don't have a protractor in celestial navigation.
Yes, you do. That's what the sextant is, a glorified protractor.
No, a
It
sextant is a
measures
sextant,
elevation
not
angles
protractor.
above. It measures elevation angles above horizontal. That's what it does.
Again, it's not a protractor; it's a sextant.
Now,
And
it
yes,
is a glorified
and
protractor.
you-
It measures angles. It's an angle
let's-
measurement device.
Let's be clear, it's not a protractor, it's a sextant, it does different things, and yes, it measures angles above the horizontal that it creates between whatever it is looking at. And that horizontal is not the surface of the Earth.
Oh, really? So
Yes,
mariners
really.
don't use elevation angles to find they're fixed on the
Yeah,
plane.
Again,
They need
they use
three-
elevation angles, they don't
three
use the surface of
zeniths.
the Earth.
They need 3 zeniths to meet the same horizontal plane in order to find their fix.
Yeah, okay, they
Do you know what the
don't use-
horizontal plane is?
Again, they don't use the surface of the Earth. They use
Yes, they do. They use the
No, they do
horizon.
not.
No.
The
They use the horizon,
Yeah,
the horizontal
okay, no,
line.
will you let me talk? You are the worst at interrupting.
You have
No,
been
I'm
talking.
talking. Right, be quiet for 1 second and let me respond. The only part of the surface of the Earth that is touched by the imaginary line is the tangent when it touches the horizon. No other part of that imaginary line touches the surface of the Earth. The baseline that you use in celestial navigation is not the surface of the Earth.
So, can you describe what the sextant is and how many mirrors are there and what they're for?
Yeah, the sextant has 2 mirrors. You would align whatever you were looking at in the horizon, unless you're using a bubble sextant, and then you would
So there is a mirror horizon.
I'm in the middle of
Horizon
talking.
mirror.
I'm in the middle
Horizon
of
mirror.
talking.
So there is an horizon
Hammer,
mirror
do me a
then.
favor. Can you just mute him while I'm talking? And then
So
when I'm
there
done
is an
talking-
horizon mirror
Can
then.
someone, Hammer, could you please mute him? And then once I'm done talking, I'll say, and you can unmute him because
You just said there is a horizon mirror.
Hammer, could you please mute him? I'm asking nicely.
Why?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and give
You
him.
just
I'm gonna
said
try
there
and
is
give
a
him one more-
horizon
one
mirror.
more-
He won't let me
But,
talk.
I mean, to be-
he literally
to be-
doesn't
to
let
be a
me
little
talk. I
bit-
get 2 words
I
out,
hear you.
and he doesn't let me talk. So from now on, for this conversation with George is muted whilst I'm talking. Please, I'm asking very nicely. Could George now be muted whilst I give my response, and then
I
he can be
understand you.
unmuted?
I understand you. I understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to address it. I just feel it's a little harsh. It's a little heavy-handed. That's all.
It's not.
Let's try and give him one more chance. Let's try and give him.
I've actually been making a note here. 13 times so far in the 11 minutes that I've been here. 13 times he's interrupted me. So that's unacceptable. So from now on, whilst I'm talking, George needs to be muted, please. Thank you. Right. So no, the mirror is not the surface of the Earth. I don't know why you are talking about the surface of the Earth and then switching to the mirror. The mirror is what you align with what you were looking at and the point that you are pointing the sextant at so that you can create the elevation angle. Or you have a bubble sextant, you have to do extra things. So you can respond to the fact now that, again, simply, the baseline is not the surface of the Earth. Can we agree on that and move forward, George?
It must be the surface of the Earth because the angles are taken from the surface of the Earth, horizon in this case. You have 2 mirrors, one horizon mirror and the celestial mirror. And the reason as to why you rock the sextant is to make sure the celestial body is at 90 degrees from the horizontal in order for you to have your elevation angles from, for you to find the distance between you and the GP of the star. I mean, these things cannot be done on a curved surface.
Okay,
it must be flat.
So no, again, it absolutely can be done on the curved surface. You can literally look at, say, a ball on top of a building in the distance and get the elevation angle from that to something else. You can use a sextant to get the angles between 2 things, whatever they are, not just between a celestial object and the horizon.
That's correct.
No, it absolutely is. It's an angle measuring device. You don't have to use the. No, it is.
Yeah,
You've
it is an angle measurement device.
George, all right, Hammer, please. He did it again. Can you just pause him? Mute him, please, because he literally doesn't let me speak without interrupting. And I am trying to be the one that doesn't do the interrupting.
You are stuttering too much. That's what
George,
you're doing.
Can you stop? Right. I am going to talk now. You are going to listen. Okay? This is the last time, George. Otherwise, you just don't get to be part of this conversation anymore.
I've been listening.
Yeah, now be quiet. I will tell you when I'm done, and then you can speak.
You don't say. You don't tell me
George,
anything, man.
George, I will tell you when I'm done.
Who are you?
Then,
You
right,
don't tell me
you know what?
anything.
Okay,
George, just for okay. All right, well, hold on. FTFE.
George is serving me.
Let me.
I'm done with him. He can't.
It's a little unfair. It's a little.
No,
unfair.
it's not. I've given him plenty of
It
chances
is.
so far.
Well, you're a part of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying
right,
to be.
So I'll give him one more chance.
Still needs to
I'll
define what is an elevation angle, please.
George,
I'm trying to be the PhD Tony here. So just hear me out. All right. Let me talk to George real quick. Let me see if I can calm him down for you, right? And we can just carry this on civilly as gentlemen, right? George, what's up, buddy?
I'm good, man. Are you?
Doing good. I hear you, bro. Can we just give each other space on the communication side, please?
It's mutual. It's both ways, yeah?
No, I do. I agree.
If it slows down, if it is triggered, if it slows down, I'll slow down as well. It's fine.
George,
It
I will
takes
tell
two
you
for
when I'm done
tango.
talking, and then you can talk. That's how it's
Is
going
that
for
You
fair?
don't tell me
Is that
anything.
fair,
Yeah, no,
George?
no,
It's
George,
not
that is how this conversation
and the
is
same
going
will
from
go
now
for you, George. And the same is going to go for George, though. He will
Yeah,
tell you when
absolutely.
he's done talking.
But
Correct?
George, from now on, you don't talk when I'm talking. I will tell you when I'm done, and then you can
But it
speak.
would be nice to have a
That's
definition
sick.
of an elevation angle because you say it can be.
Right, okay, so he's muted. I will unmute him when I'm done talking. Okay, so
well,
no, it's fine.
you're
That's the
killing
way
me,
it's
dog.
going to have to work because he
killing me,
doesn't
dog.
know how to shut the fuck up. Right, George. So once again, you can use a sextant to literally find the elevation angles between two of anything. It doesn't have to be the horizon. It can be the horizon and something else, but a sextant is just an angle measuring device. You can use it to find the angles between two of whatever, up and down, sideways. It doesn't matter. Secondly, the baseline is an imaginary line. It is not the surface of the earth because no mariner takes the angle from with the sea level. They don't have their eyes and the sextant in the water. They are above the water and they have an imaginary line from the sextant to the horizon. It is a tangent line. George, I am done talking. You can now respond. Sorry, I'll unmute him.
Oh, thanks for that. Can you please post now the definition for an elevation angle?
No,
Why not?
because I don't need to.
He's going to
I told
debunk
you.
every single thing that you said. Please post the definition of an
No, it's
elevation
not
angle.
going to because I told you what an elevation angle is.
Please post the definition of an
No,
elevation angle.
is that all you've got, or are you going to respond to what I've said?
All of your argument is gone.
Are
then.
you going to respond to what I've said or not?
What you've said, no, you've said gibberish. An elevation angle is an angle above the horizontal plane. You need the horizontal plane for your elevation angle. And no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You cannot be between two things. Two things on the vertical. Yeah, you need to establish your horizontal first, and then you do elevation from it. That's what the sextant is for. It's not for trilateration or any other thing. Yeah,
No, it's literally
only
just
works.
trilateration.
No, he's not. He don't know what trilateration is.
Again, I'm actually
Sextant is
here.
used. Sextant is used for celestial navigation. Yeah, it's elevation angles, triangulation. It's not even trigonometry. It's triangulation only. You don't know what you're talking about, man.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But it would be nice for you to post the definition of
asked
an
are you
elevation
done,
angle,
and you
though.
said yeah, and then you started talking.
It would be nice for you to post the definition of an
no,
elevation
okay,
angle.
no, I'm talking now. This is when you stop.
I will post the definition.
Okay, so you can use a sextant to measure the angle between two objects of anything, not just celestial navigation. The sextant is literally just an angular measurement device. Well, it's primarily designed and calibrated for celestial navigation, i.e. measuring the angle between the celestial body and the horizon. There's nothing preventing you from using a sextant to measure the angle between any two visible points. Any two visible points. For example, all right, if you are on land and wanted to measure the angle between the top of two distant buildings or between two mountaintops, you could use a sextant for that. However, there's a few things to keep in mind that you would need to take into account: the accuracy, the line of the sight, making sure that the design of a sextant that does include a half-silvered horizon mirror, which allows you to see the horizon and the celestial body simultaneously. When measuring angles between terrestrial objects, this feature might not be as crucial, but it's something to be aware of in terms of how the sextant functions, i.e. you don't have to use those mirrors. You can do other things with the sextant. Although the sextant is primarily designed and calibrated for celestial navigation, it's not just for celestial navigation. This is a fact. What I just read you was actually from a manufacturer of sextants. So I'm done, George.
Can you read what I just posted on the chat about the sextant?
Yeah, the modern navigation sextant is designed to precisely and accurately measure the angle between 2 points. Oh, right, so you just proved my point. Thank you for that. In modern usage,
What?
it is most commonly used to measure the altitude of a celestial object or the angle between a celestial object and the horizon. Thank you, George, for backing up what I just said.
So you do need the horizon, you need the horizontal, yeah, and the elevation above horizontal.
Could you tell me where it says that in what you just posted?
So it says just there.
No, right, I'll read it again.
An
just in
angle
case you
between
didn't
the
listen.
celestial
So what
object
it
and
says,
the
George,
horizon.
George, what it says is the modern navigational sextant is designed to precisely and accurately, and this is the important part, you need to listen, measure the angle between 2 points. In modern, in modern usage, it is most commonly used to measure the altitude of a celestial angle or the angle between a celestial object and the horizon. Most commonly, not all of the time.
So the horizon then. The horizontal.
Yeah.
The horizontal.
Commonly.
So the horizontal. You must have the
Could
horizontal.
you show me where it says horizontal in there, please?
Horizon.
No. Horizon doesn't mean horizontal.
It does. Parallel to the horizon.
Doesn't.
To the horizontal. Yeah.
The word horizon actually derives from the Greek word meaning bounding circle, not anything to do with horizontal.
Yeah, or horizon is horizontal, man.
No, it's not. Can you post?
Yes, it is.
All right, you wanted me to post definitions and stuff, so I'm now going to ask you to post proof that horizon is horizontal. That they're the same.
It's on the definition. Just a second. Let me just Google the definition of horizon.
Yeah.
May I get 15 seconds? Can I jump in? Is that possible?
Yeah, go ahead while I
Callie,
Google this.
sure.
Yeah.
Hey, so you could get horizontal measuring 90 degrees from vertical. Perpendicular to vertical, you'll get 90. That has nothing to do with the shape of the ground. So you could get a horizontal without assuming that the horizontal is your angle to the horizon. Does that make sense, George?
Yeah. Makes sense.
You're not using the ground to establish horizontal. You're using 90 degrees from vertical.
I just love how what George did there was prove Toon's Law of Flerfs number 1.
Say it again. Sorry, I thought there was a muted.
Provided by a flat earther disproves the flat earther. I just want to once again, for the audience, read what George has posted and remember what I said. Remember what I said about how it's any 2 points. And he said, no, it's not. You don't know what you're talking about. This is what George
2 points between the horizontal,
ladies and gentlemen.
The horizontal and the celestial
I'm talking right now.
body.
George posted this. The modern navigational sextant is designed to precisely and accurately measure the angle between 2 points. There we go. Between 2 points.
2 points and continue. Why did we stop there? 2 points between what?
Yeah, George, hold on.
Horizon and the celestial. Between the horizon.
George, I haven't
between
finished.
the horizon
George,
and the
I haven't
celestial
finished.
sphere.
George, I haven't finished. Well, it doesn't say that there. So in modern usage,
it does say between the celestial.
I'm still talking.
Celestial light.
George,
and the horizontal.
Right. George goes on server mute again until I'm finished. Okay, George. So once again, in modern usage, it is most commonly, not always, most commonly used to measure the altitude of a celestial object or the angle between a celestial object and the horizon. Again, most commonly, not always. So you are categorically wrong, even by your own citation, that the sextant is only used for measuring something between the horizon or the horizontal. It's not. You are wrong, and your own citation disproved you. Can you please acknowledge that? Go on, George.
You've unmuted me now. I'm not playing your games, man.
Yeah, I finished talking.
You need to finish. You need to finish what was posted there.
Yeah, I read the whole
Between
thing.
2 points, celestial body and the horizon. Those are the 2 points. Yeah. But
George,
can you please post the definition of elevation angle?
Right, George. Once again, your own citation.
The definition of elevation angle, please.
George, once again, your own citation says most.
Your definition of elevation angle, please.
George, once again, your own citation says.
The definition of elevation angle, please.
Right. I think George is stuck on a loop, so I've just quickly muted him while I've managed to get a sentence out. I apologize. I program these terrible AIs. They just get stuck in these loops. So, George, once again, your own citation says most commonly. Not always.
He left.
He left because he wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Loki. Scary.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So once again, guys, as my previous stream, what day was that? Monday, maybe? Yeah, the stream I did on Monday showed that there's a reason why I generally talk to flat earthers the way I do, and George is the perfect example of that because George shows that it's impossible to have a conversation with a flat earther. They will ignore the things you say and just keep repeating things over and over that they think backs them up. the definition of elevation angle in no way disproves anything that I have ever said. You can get the elevation angle between two things. I can hold up this globe and this lighter, and you can get the elevation angle between this globe and this lighter. You know, nothing he said backed him up in any way. He is a Nathan Oakley cult member and nothing more. Frankly, I'm glad he fucked off, because I would like to have a decent conversation with Hammer, who was being completely respectful before George jumped in. Hey, Hammer.
Is that my cue? Oh, sorry. What's up, Chief?
Yeah, so George had no idea what he's talking about and ran away because he didn't know how to have a conversation, refused to respond to anything I said. So where did we get before he jumped in?
That was just, right about there. I don't know. I was just asking you a question from the text chat, or from the YouTube chat, and George jumped in. I was quite happy with it, actually.
What was the question again? I'll see if I can answer it for you.
It was the nautical miles being measured as planar, calculated as planar.
Yeah, no, that it's just completely wrong. A nautical mile is like 1/60th of a it's 1 degree of latitude, basically. You know, it's literally the curvature of the Earth. There isn't a way to calculate a nautical mile planar because of the definition of literally what it is and what it's for.
I think you meant an arc minute.
Say again, sorry?
I think you meant an arc minute of latitude.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah, sorry. Yes, hey Bacon, how you doing?
And
I'm great, thank you for asking.
So just before we go on, Extra J is literally posting there, using a protractor to even more debunk George's point. He is showing an elevation angle on a globe. And how it's not an issue in any way, shape, or form. Thank you, Extra J. I do appreciate that. Bacon,
I want to add.
You.
Likewise.
Okay.
Yeah, Caddy. What you got, dude?
Oh, I just wanted to add, because I learned this from Kool-Aid recently. To get a nautical mile, you get the circumference, divide that by 360. That's your 360 degrees of the azimuthal. And then you divide that by 60 to get the arc minute.
Yeah.
And that's your nautical mile. So you get a circumference of a ball, any miles you put around that circumference, divide by 360, divide by 60, there's your nautical mile value.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, right, if you want to move away from what the original definition of a nautical mile is, then, if you want to just use the distance equivalent of to statute miles on a flat surface, you can, because like a statute mile, 61.9 miles is approximately equal to 60 nautical miles. So I mean, you can, if you want to say that, you go a straight line this many miles and that would be approximately this many nautical miles. I suppose there's a rough way of approximating it, but not really a way that sticks with the definition of what a nautical mile actually is, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, a nautical mile is driven from elevation angles to Polaris. So any point that you deviate from Polaris, with Polaris over your head, any direction you'll go, you'll be minus 90. So for every degree away from the 90 will be 60 nautical miles. And why 60 nautical miles? Because you need a circle of equal altitude, 360 degrees circle on a horizontal plane. That gives you your latitude line. So as you deviate from Polaris, GP, from the 90-degree Polaris, you have your longitude line over the plane. Your latitude line is just a circle of equal altitude around Polaris. That's how the grid system of longitude and latitude was created.
No, it wasn't.
From a center point, and nowadays is from the polar.
That was not how it was created.
The Cartesian, Yeah, the Cartesian. Yeah, but the Cartesian system that you're talking about is still a over. Well, that's what we use for navigation.
No, it's
It
not.
is Cartesian. That's what we use for navigation.
it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Are you a navigator yourself?
Yes, I am. I actually, literally,
You are.
in the role.
All right.
And
So you will know.
no, let me answer your question. Before
You will know.
Right, George. If you talk, I will mute you.
You will know the X marks the spot. Well,
Right, I muted you because you asked me a question and didn't let me answer. Okay, let me answer, and then you can respond.
You left again.
Yeah. I'm trying to have a conversation with him, but he doesn't let me talk. Literally, the only way that I can have a conversation with him is if I mute him and try to respond. Because, like, he asked me a question, and then as I started responding, started over-talking me. I mean, what am I supposed to do? The only physical way to talk to George is to mute him whilst you want to give a response. And I don't feel like I'm being heavy-handed with that. It's literally the only way that is possible to talk to him. Like, he would literally ignore everything that I've said and just keep babbling. So, you know, and to quickly debunk what he's saying is any evidence for the flat Earth. If you do what he is saying and you move 60 nautical miles away from Polaris and measure the angle, what you actually find is that the position of Polaris would change based on your miles away from Polaris. So if you use trigonometry and you move 60 nautical miles away from Polaris and it changes by 1 degree, and you do the trigonometry of what the altitude of Polaris would be, you find it to be one thing. But then you move a different amount of miles away and then do the trigonometry based on the angles, and you find that Polaris has actually changed its position in the sky, which would render celestial navigation on a flat Earth completely impossible. So anyway, Hammer, let's get back to the conversation that you and I were trying to have, which George seems to want to take.
Well, there was some interesting points there. He said that what you were talking about with the nautical mile was a Cartesian coordinate system, and you said no.
No, it's not.
Why is that?
Why is what?
Well, why do you say no?
Because longitude and latitude isn't.
It's a pair of coordinates. I find it interesting, right? Because you're saying it represents the curve of the Earth, like this 3D object, and yet all you're giving us is 2 dimensions, the longitude and latitude, in order to find it.
It's just a grid system that, right? So you take the Earth and you have your longitude and latitude, right? And then you can take the Earth and manipulate it in different ways to, you know, make projections of that turn into maps. And the longitude and latitude has to be projected in the same way. But longitude and latitude are not Cartesian coordinates. They're spherical coordinates. So, a brief breakdown of the difference. Cartesian coordinates, otherwise known as rectangular coordinates, these are based on perpendicular axes in flat or planar space. Commonly used in mathematics and physics to describe positions in Euclidean space and typically represented by x, y, and z in 3-dimensional space. And the points are described based on a distance from each axis. However, spherical coordinates, i.e. longitude and latitude, these are based on angles and radial distance on a sphere. Latitude measures the angle north or south of the equator, ranging from minus 90 south pole and 90 at the north pole. Longitude measures the angle east or west of the prime meridian, ranging from negative 180 to 180. And these coordinates are used to describe positions on the surface of a sphere, like locations on Earth. So, whilst both of them can be described, can be used to describe positions in space, they do so in completely different ways. Longitude and latitude are used for navigating and describing locations on a sphere. Cartesian coordinates are more general and can be used in a variety of mathematical ways. Does that succinctly answer your question?
Somewhat, but I find it interesting that you have to draw you make 2 straight lines across that ball and then reference those straight lines across the ball for your whole coordinate system. Excuse me one second.
Straight lines across the ball.
The equator and the prime meridian.
Well, the equator is a circle around the middle of the sphere. It's you could say it's a cross section right in the middle. So it's still, a circle.
Can I have a word?
Sorry about that. I didn't catch that. I apologize. My son walked in.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So I mean, the equator is a circle. Is the point? It's not a flat thing.
The equator is a circle.
Yeah, it's a circle around the outside of the sphere. So just imagine.
Can I just have a word?
Taking an elastic band, right, and putting it onto a tennis ball around the middle. That elastic band around the middle of the tennis ball is the equator.
Okay. How they determine that?
What do you mean? How do they determine that? That's what the equator is. It's the point around the surface, the center. What do you mean? How did they determine?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty significant point, right? Right. I mean, like you said, they start. That's the basis of where they go north and south of the latitude lines, right?
Well, what you find is that when you go north or south of... Sorry, I apologise, carry on.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think there's a slight delay between me and you, Hammer, so I do apologise if I overtalk you. I don't mean to.
There's always... Nah, you're all right, man. There's always a delay with me. And it's cool as long as we keep it respectful. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't mind a little intrusion. You know what I mean?
So, you know, when you go north or south of the equator, the lines of longitude start to get shorter and shorter, don't they? You know, so if the Earth was flat, there would be no reason why north and south that they would then become shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, and
well, there would be if that south point specifically was just an arbitrary point that they just chose, right? We can get to that. But like I said, when it comes to the equator itself, like that's an important point that they're starting from, right? That's the middle of the whole supposed place that we're living on. And yeah, if you're going to be basing how you're finding where you're going on this thing, right? It would be it's an important thing to know, right? So, like, how'd they establish it?
Like, how do they establish where the equator is?
Yeah, how they measure it?
Well, over the years they can see how, you know, the angles of shadows and stuff would change in certain ways depending on if you were north or south of the equator, and there was a lot of things that suggested that the Earth was a sphere, and based on those suggestions they could kind of figure out where the equator was based on what was happening, you know, in the sky. For instance, you know, we know when we're above the North Pole, we know when we're at the North Pole, Polaris is directly 90 degrees above us, but once we get to the equator, it's at 0 degrees. You know, it just goes below the horizon, and vice versa when you're at the South Pole, when you can see, you know, the Southern Crux, and as you move towards the equator that way, that goes towards the horizon. These things gave us observational evidence that the Earth was a sphere and where the equator was, and then the kind of measurements and that came later based on those assumptions.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Hold on, sitting down at my computer.
It's a lot to unpack. Angles and shadows, hey.
Well, just one of the things. You know, there was lots of things that gave us observational evidence that the Earth was a sphere and roughly where we were on that sphere. You know, the movements of the things in the sky, the way the sun acts north and south of the equator, the way the seasons behave. You know, there were many, many, many things that back, you know, 2,000 years ago gave us the suggestion that the Earth might be a sphere and roughly where, you know, parts of that sphere were. We knew what the axis of rotation was. We knew where the North Pole was. We knew where the South Pole was. We knew, you know, based on those things where the equator was. You know, and you know. Then later on came cartography and measurements and everything, you know. It wasn't just all of a sudden they were like, let's go and make a measurement. You know, there was a lot of steps that led up to that.
So you don't buy this French geodesic expedition team that was led by an explorer named Charles Marie de la Condamine? Sorry if I totally... In the year 1736.
What did he do?
Spent 10 years in Ecuador taking measurements and proved that the world is not perfectly round, but that it bulges at the equator.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a 100% perfect sphere, and we know that. That's why things would be approximate back in the time. But now we know that there is around the equator, there's a 42-mile greater circumference than if you took the circumference from pole to pole, and that compared to the size of the Earth is very, very small. And what you also find is that in general, south of the equator, the Earth is a little fatter than north of the equator, but the oblateness is so tiny that for practical purposes, the Earth is still a perfect sphere. However, it is enough that for certain things, assuming it's a perfect sphere isn't accurate enough. And that's why for certain navigational purposes, they don't just use a basic spherical calculation. They use something called the Vicenti formula, which is a very specific form of spherical trigonometry that takes into account the slight oblateness of the Earth.
How do you spell that? Is it V-E?
I've got dyslexia, so asking me to spell things is practically useless. V-E-N-C-I... V-E-N-C-I-T-I? Vicenti?
Sounds right to me.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
Hey, what up, Craig?
Oh.
Yep, it's interesting. It is definitely interesting. I'm just looking up the Vicenti formula right here.
Yeah, it's used, in flight planning and in very accurate surveying methods and things like that. But the difference between the basic formula and the Vicenti formula is very slight. For all practical purposes, we can basically consider the Earth a perfect sphere, because the differences that there are completely tiny. I mean, if you compared the Earth to a typical cue ball, the Earth would be smoother than a cue ball. If you were to scale it down to the same size, a cue ball would be more of an oblate sphere than the Earth.
If you were on the scale of a cosmic giant, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if you blew up a cue ball to the size of Earth, then that cue ball would have more variations in its perfect sphericity than the Earth does.
I can't believe you eat that up.
I mean, we've measured the Earth to show that, and we've also measured cue balls to show that they ain't perfectly smooth.
You've measured it? Where
well, I haven't personally measured a cue ball, but I mean, I have confirmed the measurements of the Earth's curvature. Several different places around the world.
Go ahead, spit it at us.
Well, I mean, the way I did that was quite simple. When I was in the Navy, and as a submariner, I was a marine engineering artificer, so I was in charge of quite a lot of things, mainly the nuclear reactor. But one of the things that was my responsibility when I joined Tagemeister Fauga was calculating the appropriate diesel emergency fuel that we would need in the case of a reactor failure. And when you're doing sea trials, obviously you test these things. So what you would do is you would say, right, okay, so we get to a certain point and we have to make sure that we've got enough fuel in this journey that if the reactor failed, we could get from A to B. So basically we would get the calculations, right, well, this says that we should be able to go this far based on the fuel that we've got. And then I would make sure that that was the correct amount of fuel that we had in the diesel generators and stuff to power the submarine. And then we would test to see if, based on the calculations of the Earth and the curvature of the Earth, I had put the correct amount of fuel into the submarine. And it worked every time, exactly as it should. We always made sure that we could get from point A to point B, even if the reactor failed, straight away, because the amount of fuel that I put into the diesel generators was based on the consumption it would need if the Earth was a sphere and you're going from point A to point B. So I confirmed the measurements of the Earth's curvature by putting diesel in submarines.
somebody has shared with me. So you can confirm it by putting diesel in submarines.
Yeah, well, we know how much fuel the submarine would consume as it's going a certain distance, right? So I would say, right, well, those distances are obviously based on the Earth being a globe, because that's how we calculate the distances that we travel from point A to point B. So I would have to make sure that the amount of fuel that the submarine needed to go from point A to point B was right, based on the Earth being a globe.
Again. Just based on the distances that you're assuming are based on a globe.
No assumptions. We've measured the Earth. We know the distances. We know they work. You know, people travel all the time. We know how far it is from point A to point B.
Have you seen these taboo conspiracy videos?
Which
how a pilot ended the globe?
Yeah, the one where he forgot to account for the Earth's rotation. They're hilarious.
How? What can you cite where that is, or
yeah?
Like,
so
what's going on? I haven't seen the video. Somebody's just
right. So the video is basically a time lapse from, I think, somewhere in Europe, over Europe, over Africa to the west coast of Africa somewhere, right? And it's about, I don't know what, 4,000 kilometers or something. And it's a time lapse, and you see the stars, you know, and he particularly points out two stars that are in a position at the start, and then he points out two stars, those same two stars that are in a different position at the end. And then what he does is he goes into Google Earth and uses the app on Google Earth where you can put in a flight path and look at that look along that flight path. So he puts in point A and point B and makes it do the flight, and he watches the stars. And he's like, look, all the stars are doing is they're rising up. They're not doing anything else. They're not curving like that. But what he didn't do was change the times in point A and point B. So it was like a 4-hour flight, right? So over that 4 hours, the Earth would have rotated 60 degrees. But when he did his little Google Earth demonstration, he didn't include that 60-degree rotation. So he didn't compare what we would actually see on the Earth to what we saw in the time lapse. If you include that 60-degree rotation, it matches perfectly. Cheers to Boo Conspiracy for once again proving the Earth's a globe.
Is that something that pilots typically account for when they're doing those long distance flights like that?
What would they account for? Do you mean?
Earth's rotation.
Well, no, because the plane's already rotating with the Earth. It's in the same reference frame. So pilots don't need to account for Earth's rotation.
How is that possible?
Well, the atmosphere rotates with the Earth, right? And the pilots, planes use the atmosphere.
You guys make that claim that I do not comprehend that one at all. I mean, a light breeze would seem to disagree with you on that.
Overall, the atmosphere rotates with the Earth. Obviously, there are perturbations in the airflow, right? But even if you take an entire weather system like a storm, right, that storm is still rotating with the Earth. It might, compared to the Earth's surface, be moving in a certain direction, but overall, the entire system is still rotating with the Earth.
Aren't you kind of in...
Sorry, go on.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off if you had something else.
Well, I was going to get into the explanation of how the atmosphere rotates with the Earth and why it does, and it's very simple, right? The atmosphere has always been on the Earth. Gary, just shh, no one's talking to you. So the atmosphere has always been on the Earth, and the Earth's been rotating for as long as we know. So, because the atmosphere is on the Earth and the Earth's rotating, then the atmosphere is also rotating, and conservation of momentum, there's no reason it would stop rotating. Then you have to take into account gravity, which is pulling the atmosphere towards the Earth, and friction, because, air, molecules have friction against each other and the ground, and as the Earth rotates, it will literally be dragging the atmosphere with it. The combination of conservation of momentum, gravity, and friction. So there is friction
between the two? Sorry.
Well, of course there is. There's going to be friction between anything, and the air is a fluid, right? So, the ground moving will be creating a degree of friction between that and the atmosphere, and the combination of friction, gravity, and conservation of momentum means that the atmosphere will always rotate with the Earth.
Utter nonsense.
Yeah, I know your brain cells are utter nonsense, Gary. We haven't seen any evidence of them.
Well, I kind of gotta agree with him.
How does that not make sense?
Because you immediately say that the atmosphere does rotate with the Earth, and then you say, well, we know that there's perturbations, and obviously it doesn't rotate with it perfectly. So basically, what I was gonna, you're invoking that cosmic giant perspective again, right? When you were talking about the perfectly smooth round Earth, like it's the same kind of thing, and that it does seem like the Earth is, or the atmosphere, as you call it, does, spin differently than the surface of the Earth, but on a more cosmic, huge level, right? It's basically spinning with the Earth.
Yeah,
and it's like, again,
overall, it's spinning with
how do we verify that?
Coins exist.
Yeah, I mean, the Earth is rotating, and if the atmosphere wasn't rotating with the Earth at the equator, there would be an approximately 1,000 miles an hour worth of wind all of the time, but there isn't. We know that the Earth's rotating because that's been empirically measured for centuries. And we know that there isn't 1,000 miles wind at the equator, so therefore logic would dictate that the atmosphere also moves with the Earth.
Yeah, I got that I feel like is a big house of cards that the globe stands on. You know what I mean? There's a lot of claims there.
Which claim in particular? I mean, we can verify all of the claims.
Measuring the rotation of the Earth?
Oh yeah, I've done that. That's pretty damn easy. I mean, measurements of rotation of the Earth are very, very easy. So easy, in fact, that a flat earther spent $20,000 buying a ring laser gyroscope and also measuring the rotation of the Earth. Rest in peace, Bob.
Yeah, when it comes to that gyroscope thing, I've heard many different things. It was, again, to mention the interview with Jaron last night, it was interesting to hear his point of view. To be honest with everybody, I know this may be a surprise, but I never watched Behind the Curve, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I take that back. I may have, but I don't remember, right? Or I may have watched pieces of it. It didn't really catch my fancy, or whatever the case may be. I know there was big controversy about it. I kind of it was nice to hear Jaron's side.
So here's the thing,
there,
right? I've said this a few times already, and I feel like it's something that's worth saying again, and that is that on the globe side, we've been a bit unfair to Jaronism, right? And you might be screaming at me, what the fuck you on about FTFE, but it's a fact, including myself. For years since that documentary come out, we've been using the interesting moment as Jaronism proved the Earth's a globe. But the problem is that, frankly, Jaron was screwed. They took things that he did and misrepresented them quite badly in the documentary. When Jaron said interesting, it wasn't at the point that they kind of made it look out to be. It wasn't at a point where if he was holding the light up, the Earth would be a globe. At that particular point when Jaron said interesting was at the point in their measurements where it neither showed flat or globe. They didn't show this experiment correct. They didn't show it of all the holes that it actually had. They didn't show the correct amount of boards. And they very much misrepresented what Jaronism did. Whether or not we think it's a good experiment and it could show the Earth being a globe or not, it is irrelevant, because what they did to Jaronism, whether he's a flat earther or not, was pretty unfair. They misrepresented his words. They didn't show the whole experiment. They didn't show the whole setup. They basically lied about what it implied. And if we want to have this conversation and be honest about it, we need to actually call out things like that. The stuff with Bob was slightly different. A lot, that wasn't kind of misled so in the same way. But what they did to Jaronism for the interesting moment was pretty unfair. And if it had happened to a glober, if someone had done a documentary and made it look like a glober was saying the Earth was flat, they'd be just as pissed off as Jaronism is. So, for the sake of fairness in this whole argument, everybody needs to stop saying that showed Jaronism showing that the Earth is a globe, because it didn't. They lied, they misrepresented Jaronism, and I don't think that's fair.
And that's awesome, man, because I think that's, again, I kind of missed the whole controversy about all this, but I feel like that's a monumental thing that you just said there. And I hope people take that seriously, because when it comes to this whole Bob thing and the you know, the laser gyro, I've heard some contention when it comes to that and how it was done. You know, I do find it interesting, again, you know, kind of.
There's very little that you can do with the ring laser gyroscope to kind of mislead what's going on, because the way that a ring laser gyroscope's using the functions, using the Sagnac effect to measure if there's actual acceleration happening, isn't something that can be kind of like fudged, you know.
Yeah,
and
sure. I mean,
and they've shown this is the case. Like they've actually taken a similar gyroscope and they put it on a Lazy Susan. You know, those things that you put on your dining table to spin around. And they had that Lazy Susan spin at 15 degrees per hour in the opposite direction to Earth's rotation, and it literally cancelled out the measurement. But then they stop rotating the Lazy Susan, and then they find that again it measures the 15 degrees rotation. And every ring laser gyroscope, fiber optic gyroscope in the world does the same thing. You know, planes tend to have 3 of them at different orientations to literally measure the Earth's rotation, so the plane knows where it is based on the Coriolis, you know, the forces being applied to the what's going on and the way that, you know, it works. So we know that they can measure the Earth's rotation because they definitely measure rotation.
It has 3 of them to measure that. And it wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, planes tend to have 3
axes.
That the so you'll have like yaw, pitch, and roll, as it were.
At all, right?
Yeah. But you know, when you fire up a plane, you know, a modern, you know, jetliner or something, if the
so they have separate instruments then, like
yeah.
So there's some they have
they'll have like satellite navigation
that can
and stuff as well.
The Earth's rotation on airplanes. Yeah. Can you tell
so
me what the names
if they
of those
turn
are?
on their plane, right, and the information they get from the gyroscopes disagrees with the information they get from the sat nav, for instance, then the plane isn't going to start. It's going to be a problem. You need to make sure all these things are lining up.
Dang, that sounds just like my drone, man. Like if it doesn't hook up to the satellites, it says not.
Yeah, a lot of drones, because they're GPS locked for kind of hovering and stuff, to make auto adjustments for wind and everything. If they can't see the satellites, you know, then it's not going to work. But it's not quite the same, because obviously your drone won't have the same kind of ring laser gyroscopes for measuring rotation and things like that. It have accelerometers in smaller vanes.
Oh, I installed one, actually. I installed one from Bob's website. It says I Heart Bob on it. R.I.P. You know, just because I wanted to. But there are things that, you know, it's a man-made instrument, number one. So there is the you have to know how to properly use it, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can have a kind of fancy piece of technology, but with all those bells and whistles also comes, you know.
I mean, they aren't really that complicated. They're just a laser with some mirrors, or a light source of some kind with some mirrors, and
yeah, sure. Do they require calibration at all?
I mean, any laser system requires calibration at some point. You know, if the laser isn't working, then the whole thing's not going to work. But you know, it's pretty simple. You fire a beam of light, and it bounces around a circuit. Well, it splits into 2 first, and then, you know, it bounces around a circuit both ways. And then if the 2 beams of light match up and they've taken the exact same time to go around that path, then it shows that there's no rotation. But if when the beam of light splits and one path takes longer than the other, it's because the device has literally moved. There's been a rotation, so the path that light has to travel on one side is physically longer than the other, and this shows up as an interference pattern, which you can measure as a rotation.
That's interesting. When it comes to the calibration process, do you know how it works?
No, I don't know the exact calibration process for a ring laser gyroscope, sorry.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, if it's possible to improperly calibrate one, right?
I mean, you can improperly calibrate,
you know what I mean?
Anything, you know, but when there is millions of ring laser gyroscopes all across the world, and they all kind of agree on the same thing, if one's not calibrated properly, it's going to be the outlier, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, sure. Again, though, I don't know why. Because from what I understand, anyway, the ring laser gyro in its not functionality, but what it essentially provides would be the same as a traditional mechanical gyro.
Well, I mean, kind of. They can both serve the same purpose in measuring a difference in acceleration. The way they function is slightly different. I mean, a ring laser gyroscope wouldn't have differences the same way that a mechanical gyroscope would process. Plus, the mechanical gyroscopes, when they use them on planes rather than ring laser gyroscopes, they have things called pendulous vanes, which stop the gyroscope processing and keep it pointing directly down towards the source of gravity. I just want to quickly address what George has put in the chat. I'll make this large so my guys can see it. He's once again quoting something that disproves his own point. He is showing something from an engineering testing document where they make simplifying assumptions. So they assume that the Earth's flat and it's non-rotating because it's easier, and the curvature and the rotation is so little you don't really need to take them into account when doing testing. They also assume the aircraft has a constant mass, which isn't a thing. No aircrafts have constant mass. Fuel has to be used. They also assume the aircraft is a rigid body, which doesn't exist. Aircrafts bend a fucking lot. If they were too rigid, they would just snap under pressure of turbulence and stuff. They assume the aircraft is symmetric, which aircraft aren't normally. They have odds and sods, bits and bobs on the outside that measuring devices and all sorts. There are no rotating masses like turbines, so planes can't have propellers apparently, and there is no constant wind, which there is. So what George has done here is quoted a bunch of things that don't exist as evidence that the Earth is flat. Good job, George. Thanks very much. Not exactly, no. They wouldn't be completely symmetric. There's going to be slight differences. A door will be on one side and not the other. They might have a barometric pressure sensor on one side and not the other. A plane isn't going to be exactly 100% symmetrical.
Yeah, but if you're talking about like a pitot tube on the side, like on one side of a Cessna, I mean, is that that's like negligible as you guys?
But it's still not exact symmetry, is it? This specifically says the aircraft is symmetric, and aircraft generally aren't. So what George has done is he's quoted a bunch of things that don't exist as evidence that the Earth is flat. Well, good job, George. I do appreciate that.
Is there, before we continue on with our wonderful conversation, is there anybody that would like to join in? Do they have any comments in the Discord here? Please feel free. Otherwise, I will. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Yeah, Space Shark just made a good point. There's a reason why engineers are stereotyped to make highly simplified assumptions. Yeah. Engineers assume that pi equals 3, which is fucking not. You make assumptions because it's easier.
Mr. Callie, were you trying to
George then posts a picture of the baseline being the surface of the Earth, which it isn't. Dim dim. God, George is bad at this. Who's clapping?
So how is the ring laser gyroscope being used to poke a hole in the globe theory? I just don't see it.
I don't understand how people use the ring laser gyroscope to disprove the Earth's rotation.
Is that it? You don't understand it?
No, I don't. I don't understand how people say that the ring laser gyroscope shows that the Earth doesn't rotate, because some flat earthers do say that.
Doesn't. But it's interesting because, like you said earlier, you said there's millions of them, right? But the only thing that we ever hear in the flat Earth community is "Thank you, Bob." We only hear about one.
Because he's the only flat earther that went and bought one.
I don't ever hear, thank you Twitch for your gyro, ring laser gyro measurement confirmation. Thank you NASA Shill.
Yeah, the reason for that is because Bob was the only one in the
Society,
documentary with it. None of the other people were.
I never. It's always thank you, Bob.
Well,
So I
yeah,
just
again,
find
because
this
Bob was the
interesting.
one that spent $20,000 on a ring laser gyroscope and then got filmed using it and then lying about it. Yeah.
NASA Shield knows that the ring laser gyroscope proved the Earth to be round, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have to verify it. I see.
No,
you don't
I
like to,
verified
you don't
it
like to
myself.
peer review things. I get it.
I actually have, but that's okay.
Oh, you have. Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Verify what exactly?
So why let Bob take all the credit? That's what I'm saying, though.
Well,
You know,
what did
why
Bob do?
not?
Bob, rest his soul, found out that he proved that the Earth was rotating with his ring laser gyroscope, and then hid it, then lied to everybody else. Then came up with some sort of bullshit.
Was that? Oh, sorry, Shill.
To
Then
quote,
came up with all sort of bullshit about his data,
You are
and
just,
within I think within
talking shit.
4 hours, some altard took the data and showed that it was within the margin of the instrument, the margin of error.
and then bless Bob, when he didn't realize he was still mic'd up, was talking to another flat earther, and I'm going to quote directly what he said here now. And he said, with the measurements with the ring laser gyroscope, if we release those now, we'd be in trouble.
That actually makes me curious on something. You know how Bob always said, none of this shit, like, we should keep this quiet, and
Yeah.
we're in big trouble. This goes out. Why did he talk about it in the documentary then?
It's like he forgot he was mic'd up. That's the only explanation I've got is that he forgot that he had a lapel mic attached to him. All right. Either that or he did it on purpose. It's the only explanation. I don't want to talk ill of the dead. Bob and I didn't agree. We had our arguments and stuff, right? But in this situation, the only thing that I can think of is that he for some reason forgot that he was mic'd up, or he wanted to be caught. That's the only explanation I've got for what happened.
Is this the same documentary, by the way?
Yeah.
Or is this
Yeah.
a different one? Okay, that's what I thought. So there's two controversial things that happened in this documentary.
Oh, there was quite a lot of controversial things. I mean, they showed Nathan Thompson's face, which was a bad thing to do on TV.
Why do you say that?
Have you seen Nathan Thompson?
I thought he was like, isn't that the guy that did the whole Facebook thing, the big Facebook group online? He was like, running a Facebook group, and he was out on like the California boardwalk or something like that, talking to people.
No, the California boardwalk. That's down the water, man.
God damn it. yeah, he did have a massive Facebook group which got deleted, and he got very butthurt about that. And funnily enough, right, his Facebook group is one of the reasons why I do what I do, right? Because when I found out about flat earthers and then I met one in real life and I went on Facebook looking for it, his was the first group that I joined. And it took me 3 days of just asking them to talk about gravity to get banned and have a bunch of abusive messages. And so I was like, right, I guess I'll fucking start a YouTube channel then. So, cheers, Nathan Thompson. You've got him to blame for me being here.
That's in it. So that's your
well, that's one of the reasons. I mean,
origin story. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Delay there. That's how you.
My origin story is in a vat in a NASA lab.
Is that really how you came to fight the flat Earth?
One of the reasons, yeah. Met a flat earther in real life. Shouted at me and my son. Bunch of flat earthers online being abusive to me. Joining Nathan Thompson's group and getting booted. Showing my wife all the flat earther stuff and her going, "Look, Craig, I don't give a fuck. Just make a YouTube channel or something." Yeah. So.
And so you did.
Yeah. If your wife tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah. I guess it's a good way to get out the energy of it for sure.
That was the origin story of clone number 1, right?
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. Now I have like barcodes under my eyelid and stuff. I don't understand. I got memories of being in space and dying, but I'm still here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all I can think of is if I'm a clone, right? Why do they keep re-cloning me with a dodgy leg and a dodgy shoulder? Can't they fucking fix that in the process?
That cloning machine is defect there.
Well, just use a different cloning machine.
It's consistency, bro. Once people know what you got, they gotta keep it consistent.
We know the problem, don't we? Is that we've got fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy in charge of the fucking cloning problem, and that guy's just a moron. I don't mean that, Bill. I'm sorry.
Poor Bill Nye.
Yeah. You know he's only got a degree in engineering. I've got more qualifications than Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I didn't think he even had a degree in engineering.
Yeah, he's got a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering. Which means that he's smart and he can do a bunch of maths. That's about it.
He's qualified. I thought he was just a glorified actor. Bill Nye.
I mean, you know, he has done some acting, but he's just like an engineer that people like to put on camera for some reason. When he was in an episode of Stargate Atlantis, that was pretty good. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson was in that as well, wasn't he?
So you said you met a flat earther in real life, and then you investigated it online? Is that so?
Well, I kind of come across it, and then someone said about it, and I was like, what the fuck? And then they got a bit shouty at me and went away, and I was like, is this a real thing? Then went and done more investigation, and found out that shit, there's a lot of them.
So it's just like a random encounter somewhere?
Yeah, pretty much. When I moved into my new village, which is full of idiots. I've got a sticker on my car which says "not flat." We checked because why not? And the same guy once knocked on my door to say, "Oh, stop being silly. The Earth's the Earth's flat." And then he left in my back garden. He went into my back garden and put a note on one of my tables with a brick on it. And the note said, "Submarine sound channel debunk globe Earth." And I'm like, that's a bit worrying. Can you stop coming to my house now, please?
How did he leave that message?
Well, he just came into my back garden and put it on my table with a brick on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Didn't throw it through your window, though.
No, luckily.
Well, that was nice, at least. That was nice. Yeah. Well, I could see how that's. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but I think maybe the guy just wasn't the best at confrontation or whatever. I don't think.
I'm pretty sure he's a meth head.
And quite could be possible. Yeah. He doesn't. Does he have a house? He doesn't live. I thought you said
he definitely lives around here somewhere. I've seen him a few times, and just picture in your head a meth head. No teeth, scratching at themselves, not much hair, estate, skinny. That's him.
Your average meth head, yeah.
Yeah. You got any more of that flat Earth Eric Dubay stuff, eh?
Well, that's unfortunate. I've heard, though, that most meth heads are globers, though. That's what I've heard.
Well, because the majority of the world know that the Earth is a globe, the majority of any people are going to be globers. The majority of people in prison for rape are going to be quote-unquote globers because there's more globers than there are flat earthers. It's just a statistical thing. Right?
I mean, how you gladly take that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's just a fact. You can't deny that there's going to be more people that do bad things that think that the Earth is a globe. You can't deny.
There's no way they can have any kind of accurate statistic like that.
Hey, could I interrupt for 5 seconds, please?
Sure. Yeah. Hello. Who are we talking to?
Oh, he wants to get out of that question for sure.
Sorry, what was the question? I'll answer the question first.
I won't forget it. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I won't forget. Go ahead.
All right, so I just wanted to say, FTFE, I love your show. Thank you very much for it. That's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No worries, Donald. Thank you very much. I always appreciate the support. So, so your question was...
Can you believe that?
What is the
Did
evidence?
Did you ever think in a million years when you started your show you would have people...
Well, here's the thing, right? So
how awesome
the fourth time today it happened, and that somebody recognized me out in public, and it's the fourth time it's happened. And I'm not going to lie, it's a fucking ego boost, right? I was just getting out of my car and going around to the gym, and just a guy kind of walked past me in double take, and he was like, "Fight the flat Earth," and he was extremely happy to meet me. And I said thank you for the support and said I'll be live today, so I hope maybe he's watching. And it is an ego boost. I'm not gonna lie. It gives me a big head if someone recognizes me in public and was like, "Oh, I fucking love what you do." Of course it is,
And it's already pretty big, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you've seen my forehead, for fuck's sake. Come on.
My
just want to say I'm a huge fan, Greg.
Thank you,
I've been listening for years. Yeah, I am, but I just want to drop in, make it 5 for the day.
You should do meet and greets. My goodness. Do you ever reach out to your fans live?
I was trying to start a
Seems like
wave.
they're craving it, FT.
I don't know if anxious is. I mean, like, when the guy met me today, I didn't know what to do. I was very like uncomfortable with it almost. And I don't know if I don't know how I'd cope at a meet and greet. But I guess I'd like to do it.
Greg, I just want you to know that I love what you do too, and you are my second favorite flat Earth skeptic.
Oh, thank you. Wait, second favorite?
Well,
do I have to murder Toon?
I found Toon first, so.
Right, that's it. Yeah, NASA headquarters, just take out Toon. I'm fed up of this.
Same here. I found you through Toon.
You've got the shot right now? Yeah, just take the shot. Cool, no worries. Right, Toon's dealt with, so I'm now your favorite.
America.
Dang, you just did Toon like that, right on the live show. That's messed up.
Wait, was that live? Fuck.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yeah. Someone saying
was Bob actually mic'd up, or was it a boom mic that captured that?
I'm pretty sure he's mic'd up. You can see like a little lapel mic on him. I mean, if it was a boom mic, then there's no way he did it by accident.
Right. It seemed kind of. I just remember the shot. It just seemed kind of seemed like they just captured it from afar, right?
I mean, that's why I'm pretty sure it was a lapel mic, because I think it's easy enough to forget you've got a lapel mic, right?
If I remember correctly, it was said kind of whispery, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean, I did some presenting for Esports Scotland a few years ago, and like I went home wearing a lapel mic because I just totally forgot I had it on me. It's very easy to forget that if you've been wearing it for a while that you've got a lapel mic on. And in my head canon, that's what happened, right? I'm not saying that it is, but that's what I think happened, is that Bob didn't realize or completely forgot that he was mic'd up and had that conversation.
He was being super honest with his
toes.
I just remember watching it, and I was like, he is being truthful right here. Like, he has no idea that he's.
I agree.
Was that conversation that Bob had when he forgot he was mic'd up? Is that inside the documentary, or is that somewhere else?
Yeah, it's
on the documentary.
It's in the documentary. It's like straight after they do the section with him, and he talks about the putting it in the bismuth chamber and that. The next section is them at kind of like some kind of drink or something, so come after party or something that they were doing, and Bob's just standing. There's like a bush, there's like a concrete kind of like wall with like a bush on it, and just to the side of that there's like a tree, and in between those the camera's kind of looking at Bob and this other guy talking. It's like the camera's quite far away and it's got this sneaky looking shot. And Bob and whoever this guy are just talking about the experiment they've just done, and basically saying that if they release the information now, they're completely screwed, and they need to kind of hide it, And it was very clear what was said.
All right, that's good. I want to see that thing.
You think the first time he saw it? You think the first time he knew that they had that footage was like during the premiere?
Yeah. Again, in my head canon, I've got no evidence for that. But that's I reckon that he sat down. I reckon all the flat earthers sat down and watched that, and at the end of it, they were punching some TVs because it didn't make any of the flat earthers look good. Not in the slightest. It made every single flat earther in that either look like a complete and utter fucking nut bar or a liar.
Either way, the cognitive dissonance must have been very strong.
Yeah, but I don't think any flat earther could have watched that and thought, hey, I'm in a successful documentary. You know, if you're a flat earther and you were in that and then you watched it, you'd be like, oh, what the fuck have I done? Hey, Hammer, this has been, apart from George being extremely rude, this has been quite a nice, chill conversation, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it myself.
I think George was asking about the percentage of flat earthers versus globe earthers or something. Wasn't that the last part of y'all's conversation?
Oh yeah, no, Hammer. Yeah, what was the question about that you didn't want to forget?
What was it again?
About the globe earthers and flat earthers statistics. What was the question?
Oh, that there's no way that they would be able to accurately gather that statistic.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It's, you know, we just know that there's more globe earthers than flat earthers, right? This is just a fact. There's more people that think the Earth is a globe than there is think the Earth is flat. So
yeah, I think that's like it could be a regional thing.
Overall,
I suspect it may be
across the
regional.
world,
Oh yeah,
there's less than, I'd say there's less than 0.01% of the entire Earth's population that think the Earth is flat.
And it's
Kinda
definitely regional.
Yeah.
It's higher. It's definitely regional. It's higher in the American South and other places that are highly religious and highly undereducated.
Yeah, it's quite high in Brazil, but you go to France and practically no one thinks the Earth is flat. But overall, there is many more people on Earth that think the Earth is a globe than think the Earth is flat. Which means logically, there will be many more people in prison for horrific things that think the Earth is globe than think the Earth is flat. I've got no statistics or anything to back that up. It's just a logical deduction.
This is why I'm happy you're out there fighting the globe Earth every day.
I'm not fighting the globe Earth.
No, it was a good conversation for sure. I took some notes. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna do some studying. What I always wanted to do, right, is kind of showcase. I don't know if I should unveil all my cards just yet, but just the ability for the two sides to come together. And I know people are gonna say I'm kissing your ass or whatever. Like, I think we're all human beings at the end of the day, and I think that we should be able to just have
Did you just assume my species?
Decent conversation. Yes, I did. I totally apologize. Could be whatever.
Sorry.
You're right, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah. I mean,
peace and love. I'm a hippie at heart, I guess.
I like the decent chill conversations like this, all right? But I'm not going to lie, I like the dumpster fires. And if we weren't in a situation where I'm trying to have a calm conversation, I would have just played along to George's stupidity and turned it into a dumpster fire. But I actually wanted to have a decent conversation with you, Hammer, because you and I have been relatively decent to each other, talking, and I thought that you and I could have a constructive conversation, which I feel like it has been. I feel like I've answered your questions, and we haven't butted heads and stuff. And George came in, and I feel like he kind of ruined that. Now, I would quite like to have George on a one-on-one on another day and have a fucking dumpster fire. I'll pour some ethanol on it and chuck a few matches in myself. I don't care. But today was I wanted to have a genuine conversation with you, and I appreciate the conversation.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if that's really what people want, you know what I mean? And I get the attraction, I guess. And people like to watch MMA and the boxing, and
I like a dumpster fire. I'm not going to lie. Some of my favorite streams have been complete and utter dumpster fires, and I've had a great time. But that's with people that aren't nice people. I don't know you, Hammer, but based on our interactions, I'd rather talk to you than someone like George to have a conversation. If I want a dumpster fire, I'm not going to come to you. I'm going to go to George.
There are people that will be laughing at that statement, just so you know, because I can get just as that's why I empathize with people that get labeled that, you know what I mean? Because I can get just as, sometimes it's, a little hangriness. They talk about you're not you when you're hangry. People get stressed, all kinds of things that they're going.
I'm
through.
hungry a lot lately.
And so
Calorie
try.
deficit sucks.
That was another thing. I was going to bring up actually before we get out of here is, the idea. One of the things that I really liked about Oakley's show was the idea that he would say, you're welcome back the next day, and kind of forget about.
But he banned me and won't ever let me back.
Yeah, there was a point, you know what I mean? But was that the first time?
Yeah, in 47
it was
minutes,
the first
he said
time?
37
Really?
times that he was going to put his balls in my mouth and then banned me from his server and channel.
Really?
Yeah, I refused to concede to any nonsense that he put up, and because I refused to concede anything, he said that I wasn't having an honest conversation and wouldn't ever let me come back. But I'm not going to concede to stuff that's wrong, so...
The only reason I find that surprising is just, like I said, he always, at least from what I remember in the beginning, he was always like, if you get kicked out, you're welcome back the next day. And I found that pretty cool. Maybe he, I'm just speculating here if what you're saying is true and whatever. Maybe you already had your channel going and everything? You were already kind of a big name,
I already had 10 million more views than him, which I think made him mad. But
so
the way it stands at the moment is because he's been so horrific, not just to me, but he's made horrible comments about my wife and children and stuff, that the only way I will ever speak to him now is somewhere like this. In fact, this is the place that I would talk to him. If he would come here, then I would have a one-on-one with him. But I'm never, ever, ever going back to his server or his channel with the things that he has said towards me. Simple as that. He does not get to have me on his platform. If he wants to stream, like I do when I come here, he's more than welcome to. But I am not being in a place where he has the ability to kick me out and mute me and shout at me and say he's going to put his balls in my mouth and not let me talk.
May I make a comment on Nathan Oakley?
Hey Tony, how you doing?
So, I'm well, thank you. How are you, Craig?
I'm very happy today, actually. My head's quite big. So.
Excellent. You seem to be getting a lot of validation. The point that I would make about Nathan Oakley is that his entire business model is based around shouting at flat earthers. That's what his audience really want to see. They want to see, sorry, not shouting at flat earthers, shouting at globe earthers. His audience really want to see globe earthers attacked and humiliated. And I think that it reciprocates the treatment that they feel they get when they try talking about flat Earth. So that's why it's so popular. But that's the only reason that Nathan Oakley is happy to have people back on the next day. It's got nothing to do with goodwill. It's because he needs people to come back the next day and start all over again, because that's all he's got to sell. If he holds grudges and bans, just stops globe earthers from coming on his channel full stop, he shoots himself in the foot and destroys his channel. And I think that the fact that fewer and fewer globe earthers are going on is leading to the steady decline of his content. I just wanted to say, it came across that there was respect for him restarting the conversation, and I don't think that that's entirely warranted. What's happening here is entirely self-serving from his point of view.
I completely agree with you, Tony.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah, coming in with the shade.
It's an interesting point you make there, Tony. Do you not feel the same from FTFE's audience a little bit?
I do. I certainly do. I think that there are people on the globe Earth side who are just in it because everybody gets to yell at flat earthers, and I think that it's very destructive. And I think that I'm coming more and more to the opinion that flat earthers need to be treated as individuals. As individuals, an individual flat earther can absolutely abdicate their right to be respected, but until they do that, they should be respected. Okay, yep. And they should be engaged with, and they should be allowed to express their opinion and have it heard. And if they don't get to do that, if they don't get respected, if they don't get the opinion to say what they want to say, if they're constantly being interrupted, attacked, and censored, then they're not going to engage, and that doesn't help anybody. I think you're exactly right. I think that there is a lot of contempt and derision that is just instinctive from a lot of globe earthers. I'm not suggesting that globe earthers are any better than flat earthers in that regard, and I think that there are some globe earth channels that are based very largely on the concept of just yelling at flat earthers.
And I'm not going to lie. Like I said before, I do enjoy a dumpster fire, but I try to have the dumpster fires with people that there's going to be no other type of conversation with. I think recently I've made a concerted effort to have more of a conversation. Yeah, I can get angry and over talk and interrupt and stuff, but I think in general, lately I've tried to have the conversation on more peaceful terms with people that I think that's capable of. Like you said, Tony, you're absolutely right. I need to treat it on a one person at a time basis. If I'm talking to the Hammer here, we can have a perfectly constructive conversation. But if I'm talking to someone like Nathan Oakley or George, there's just going to be shouting from both sides, right?
Yeah. I think that it's important also to remember that the whole foundation of this conversation, I mean, it was supposed to be, built upon education, and I think that's just the tough part. It is just how they receive that. They're, if they're willing to listen or not.
Yeah, and I've always kind of tried to make it a rule on my channel. I'm not always stuck to, because I can get excited, but I've always tried to make it a rule that when I talk to a flat earther, I copy their attitude. So for instance, when I had Santos and his little elf on, right from the start, he was being horrific and horrible to me. So I just did it back to him the whole time. Because someone like that, there's not going to be a conversation. But there's been many people where they will come onto my show, even on a 1v1, and it's a perfectly respected, back and forth, and in a very decent conversation. And it entirely depends on who I'm talking to and slightly what mood I'm on in the day, I guess. Hey, come to me on a leg day and I'll be happy, all right? I like leg day.
It's interesting. You guys said a lot there. Yeah, I just I'm glad you agree, at least. I'll be interested to see, how you move forward. You know what I mean? Because I understand the idea, kind of like Tony was saying, of a business model and paying attention to the numbers if you want to provide a show and what people want to watch, right? What they want to see.
I mean, yeah, this is entertainment, right?
But ultimately,
this is entertainment. I'm not lying. This is entertainment for me and for my audience, right? But it doesn't mean that the entertainment can't be an honest discussion.
Well, you see how that kind of automatically puts your guys' side in a disingenuous stance as far as
not necessarily. Don't you want to be entertained when you watch? You're not going to watch a YouTube because stream or something because you're not entertained, right?
I think for a lot of us that have been that are in this, I find a lot of us have interest in like the science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Already the science fiction.
But it doesn't mean that there can't be entertainment
video
around
games,
that.
right? Well, I think a lot of people have been entertained for a long time, and I think for some people they're maybe that's they're tired of being entertained. They kind of want to just get down to the brass tacks.
Nah,
I want to
always good.
I want to see flat earthers
bread
convert.
and circuses. You ever heard of that term before? The bread, give them bread and circuses.
Yeah. It's a motto of ancient Rome, right? In order to keep the population quiet, you just want bread and circuses. And I quite agree that there is there can be in sort of debates between globers and flat earthers, there can be sort of a blood sport mentality that the spectators are there to cheer the victimization and marginalization and abuse. It can descend into that. And you know, and I've contributed to that myself. I'm not blameless in this regard.
Krakatoni.
Yeah, Krakatoni. And I know that I will fail in the future. But I've resolved to try and do better than I have done. To sort of and I'm trying.
Me too.
When
not
I'm
on a level.
Yeah, and when I moderate debates, I know a lot of people on Craig. I cop a lot of criticisms in Craig's comments and for my moderation because they think I'm way too nice and I'm way too tolerant of flat earthers. But I think it's better to do that and to show flat earthers respect rather than just attack them. If we just mindlessly attack them and call them an idiot and and ignorant and whatever, why the hell should they listen to anything we say?
They are. A flat earther converted is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know,
But
it does happen. And I mean, Callie here is an example of that, and it's great to see that.
Yeah. But that being said, I will make one comment. There are examples of ideologies, let's just call it what it is, bigotry, that some flat earthers espouse, and I'm not tolerant of that. It does tend to come up a lot in discussions with flat earthers, even with Whitsitt. Whitsitt will make he will make explicitly transphobic remarks and claim that that's why he doesn't believe science. That's just not acceptable, right? You can the shape of the Earth is unrelated to the science of the science of transsexuality or sexual expression or sexual identity. There is science there, and you don't get to disguise your hatred for a particular group and say, well, it's scientifically backed. While I do agree that flat earthers need to be treated with more respect than they have been, I think that flat earthers also need to realise that there are a great many flat earthers that hold some fairly repellent attitudes.
Well, Tony, I think again that goes back to the point of that's just a consequence of human beings, right? Kind of like the whole most people in jail are going to be Globers. Like most human beings hold some kind of bigotry and nasty, vile.
But from my personal experience, Hammer,
we have a lot of people that are out there virtue signaling, trying to pretend like they don't. Right? They get on camera and they put on their little smiley face and they say, "Look at me and how perfect I am." In fact, one of the most awesome ones I've seen recently is that. Have you seen that girl that's like, she's like picking up garbage on the beach, or whatever? And she's got like somebody taking pictures of her picking up garbage on the beach, and then she just leaves it all, the bag and stuff on the beach, and just walks away. Give me
there's a lot of that, and I totally agree with you that it's not the it's not the case that Globers are without these flaws. Many Globers do have these flaws, my big concern is even with a non-constructive interlocutor, like I'm going to pick an example here, Jin. I don't think it's actually that constructive to specific. But I don't think Jin holds any ideologies that are repellent. I just don't think that he's necessarily the greatest debater, right? His debating style is just to contradict whatever was just said and say that was a lie. And that isn't really a great way to construct a conversation. But if we treat him unfairly, other flat earthers are going to look at that and they're going to say, okay, this is just rigged. They're just here to censor us. They're just here to beat us down. He can't finish a sentence. He can't get a word out, etc., etc. And we need to set it up so that doesn't happen so often. But at the same time, flat earthers need to accept sometimes a flat earther is being shut down not because they're a flat earther, but because they're saying something else. They're dog whistling or they're doing something else. that requires that they be shut down. Does that make sense?
You gotta understand, my fellow flat earthers. We believe in freedom, man. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard even for
Hey, right.
You know,
freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences.
I get that. I get that, right? But is the consequence that your speech be taken away?
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes it absolutely is. Yeah. Sometimes consequences of your speech will result in you being removed from the public in certain ways. Sometimes the consequences you have to face and take them. And there are certain flat earthers that have to face the consequences of their actions, like Nathan Oakley. No one wants to talk to him because he is a vile human being. It's as simple as that. There is flat earthers that I will never give the respect to. I mean, he is vile. There's no other way to describe Nathan Oakley. 37 times in 47 minutes he said he wanted to put his balls in my mouth because I refused to agree with him about gravity. That's a vile human being.
Everybody else or just me?
Right. But anyway,
it is that depends on how clean his balls are, whether he's vile or not.
Well, I mean, for how much you guys don't hear him talk about his balls, you guys do talk about balls.
It's because he says he wants to do it all the time. But anyway, I mean, my final thoughts on this bit of the conversation are that in my experience, right, the higher up flat earthers are horrible people and liars. Dearth, Eric Dubay, Nathan Oakley, Nathan Thompson, they're all horrific, horrible people. And for some reason that has rubbed off onto a lot of the flat earth population. My very first interactions with flat earthers was them calling me retard, idiot, fucking moron, and more pedophile and all sorts, just because they're horrible people. My interactions with flat earthers have been death threats. My interaction with flat earthers has been them knocking on my door and leaving notes in my back garden. My interaction with flat earthers has been full of negativity, which has fueled the way that I treat the majority of flat earthers. But I have come to the realization, like Tony said, that I need to treat it on a one-by-one basis, right? I know the people that I am not going to give respect to, but I know the people that I will try and have a decent conversation with, and that's how I feel.
Awesome. And I do apologize for those experiences that you had, but I mean, you for yourself, one of the things that I've learned is forgiveness and like letting go of things. It's not really about the person. It's more for yourself. You know what I mean? Like let go of those things, and maybe if you do come into contact with those people, hopefully you don't. I mean, you could just choose not to or whatever. But
forgiveness comes, when someone rectifies their actions, not before. That's the way I live my life.
It's hard.
You don't
hard
just
for
forgive
people.
somebody because it's it might be the right thing to do. There's no point in forgiving somebody.
But what if they think they're not in the wrong?
Make them a better person. Well, if they think they're not in the wrong after
you gotta say
death threats,
Right.
If they think they're not in the wrong after they've sent me death threats, then I can't help them.
I mean, that's a specific extreme example there. Of course, I wasn't talking about that, but like, what in some random, not so death threaty situation, what if it's just, a matter of not seeing eye to eye in something, right? And you both feel like you're right, and you won't budge on it.
That can be a decent conversation, and that's fine.
Well, sometimes it gets heated though, right? Sometimes it gets emotional. People have when you literally take. I mean, you guys literally take away people's eyesight. You take away people's voices, right? You try to justify that it's legitimate to
what do you mean we take away people's voices?
Well, I mean, like George, for example, like.
Oh no, I was just trying to have a. I didn't want to take away his voice. I wanted him to have a voice.
Is to mute him, right?
Well, yeah, I wanted him to have a voice, but I wanted that voice to be part of a constructive conversation, right? There's no point in him just having a voice if that is the only voice. If he wants to have a conversation with me, then he can have a conversation with me. But he wasn't having a conversation with me. He was just over talking and being a dick. Right,
well,
so George is one of the people that I will not treat with respect.
Well, I think I mentioned this with McToon the other day, and By the way, PhD Tony, I don't know if you're here and you heard me. I've said it a couple times on a few shows, and I'm glad you're here. I can find, I really do appreciate. I think I have said it to you before, but
Yeah,
I'll say
me
it
too.
once again. I really do appreciate, the work that you've been doing in the moderation side of things, and so
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I very much appreciate what Tony's done. I feel like Tony, even though it can be seen as jarring, the way that Tony might interrupt to bring things together, what Tony does is allow the conversation to advance. And I'm more than aware that I can get stuck on a bit of a conversation. And Tony is very good at, even if both sides are very angry and stuff, he's very, very good at making the conversation go forward. And I very much appreciate that.
Well, that's where too. Oh, go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
No, you go on. I was just going to prattle. So, say what you want to say.
Well, I did. That's where too is it's important. Like I was saying, and it, to be. Sorry, I'm thinking too much.
That's all right. I mean, I'm about wrapping things up anyway because I need to go to bed. So
yeah, no.
I'm just going to give my thanks to everyone.
I'm pretty tired as well.
Excuse me.
But I just want to wrap up this last thought, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
That's why it's important just that if we are engaged in a debate, right, emotionally, because like you said, we're all capable, guilty of doing it, whatever. Getting emotionally involved in the argument, and it's. Traditionally it's not a good thing to also be attempting to moderate it, right?
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing though, that's the only thing.
Well, that's, appreciate that. And, again, I appreciate you allowing me to come here and argue with a bunch of people that I think are idiots,
God bless you, brother. I hope you come back again. It was a good time.
I will be back here next Friday.
I will take you on every week if I have to. It may get more heated, right?
Hey, we can have a heated one-on-one.
The stance that I'm. Yeah, we could.
Well, Hammer, why don't we do a proper moderated, full-on 1v1, right? Where we both bring specific bits of evidence. And and have time sections where we have to respond to evidence and stuff. Let me and you have a proper debate. What do you reckon?
I think we can get that set up. I don't want it to be the next immediate meeting though, because I kind of want to.
Let's put that for a couple of weeks away.
Continue to pick your brain a little bit, yeah, if you don't mind. If we could build up to that.
Yeah, I'm more than happy with that. Tony, would you be the moderator for that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Appreciate that. I think that'd be a good conversation. Right, good night, guys, and I will see you soon.
Later.
See you later.
Thanks for coming by.
Well, everyone, that was a pretty chill stream, and I appreciate the decent conversations. Obviously, George was a fucking numpty and, deserves to be bitch slapped with a globe across the face. So, but I do enjoy the more chill conversations sometimes. Maybe I can reach a different bunch of people than I can with the shoutiness, because in the long run, I am Fight the Flat Earth, right? Yeah, I'm here to entertain you guys, but I am Fight the Flat Earth. I am FTFE, and I want to show Flat Earthers that they're wrong, and maybe sometimes the nicey approach is the way to do that. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot of FTFE being FTFE. There always will be. The return of Flerfs Idiots is fast approaching, and that will always be FTFE. And, dumpster fires happen because dumpster fires happen. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. I've had a great stream and I hope you have too. As always, amazing support in the super chats. It just blows my mind how generous you guys are. Sparky NJ for $2 says, you blow Craig. Yes, I do. You're right. Wait, hold on. Caucasian Sensation became a new member. Welcome to Brawlers, you awesome thing, you. Again? Wait, but no, it says member new, but then you've been a member for 22 months. Let's rock this joint. No, not that joint, Craig. But what the hell, let's rock that one too. As always, love your content. I love you, my friend. LB Things, Stuff and More says they also became a new member, but I'm pretty sure they already were. Nike. I'm just trying to figure out how to say a name so I don't screw it up in a bit. Ivan Tchaikovsky, member for 2 months, says, I appreciate your dedication to pain, Craig. I get the pain so you don't have to. Icy Spin 199 says, computer, go to studio mode. It's already in studio mode because I've got the button working. Right, watch. Computer, lights off. Computer, lights off. See, I've got it now. I just press this button. Studio mode. And then you make it flash. Studio mode. Oh my goodness. What's going on here? Cal for $2 says, anyone going to say you're right today? I've had 2 streams of that. I don't think we need to push it. String News 1 for $2 says, so horizontal is a slippery slope, George. Yeah. You do not take your measurements from the surface of the earth. Oh, Siggy. Fucking Siggy doing his opera impression again. Oprah impression. Opera? Oprah? Fuck's sake. String News 1. I just read that one. Stephen, member for 2 months, says, yay, free message time. Thank you for your support, Stephen. Caucasian Sensation for $5 says, Craig, the Discord volume is booming and yours is barely audible. Please fix it. I apologise. The mixing isn't... I've got something wrong with my headset, so I couldn't quite hear the mixing right. So I apologise for that. Pat in the chat has been a member for 18 months, says, oh boy, it's Derp o'clock. MB for £5 says, oh no, send monies, cheer up FTFE brain. Yeah, my brain is sad. Money does help it stop being sad, I guess. Thank you for your support, buddy. Warboss, who is an orc living in Canada, it's very worrying. 20 Canadian dollars says, fight all your fighting spirit and muscle. It's right, kiddie, to see you got that integrity to not twist them flirty words. Craig got the rage and chopper, but ain't afraid to admit his stumbles. This Umi's got some honour, I tell ya. Well, the only way you can get better is if you admit when you're wrong. Flat Earthers never do that. Caucasian Sensation, $5. Next Earth, please. Hammer's voice is constantly ignorant, soft, skeptical, and sarcastic. Kind of reminds me of Sink Cleanser and is very boring. Let's try and get him, a bit angrier then, shall we? Warboss 5 Canadian says, damn it, Craig, that was brutal. Taking out Toon like that without even swinging the chopper yourself. Brutal respect. Yeah. I didn't kill Toon, just so everyone's know. I did not send the agents to take him out. I'm pretty sure let me check. Fuck. Someone tell Toon to duck. Randomly Epic, who's been a member for 3 months, says, why do you think there are so many British Flerfs? I don't think there's any more British Flerfs than others, to be honest, but, they do seem to be a particular stupid breed, don't they? String News 1, $2. Put all that negative energy into being mad at God. Can't be mad at someone that isn't real. Nike Spirits. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Nike Spirits. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. For €6, just to hear you butcher my name again, which I probably did. Have you seen old Hassler's debunk on the infamous taboo conspiracy video? Not yet, but it's easy to debunk that. Earth rotates, dipshit. PhD Tony, the only real man in the room, for $10 Australian dollars, says, terrific stream, great conversation. Thank you very much. Siggy Sigweld does his best Oprah impression and throws 50 memberships. So if you just became a member during this stream, then you need to say thank you to Siggy Sigweld. Let's get a bunch of thanks Siggies in the chat, shall we? Thanks, Siggy. Come on. Thanks, Siggy. Let's see a bunch of those, please. And then the Sun Express for $5 says, to the hippity hoppity get off my property fund. PJB for $2 says, what's the volume of Earth's gravity? Shut up. And then Siggy Sigweld for 666 ARSs. Hail Sagan. Ever thought, even though I agree with PhD Tony that Flerfs deserve at least respect for humanity, I also know for a fact many of them are utterly horrific people, and that's something that can't be respected. Hail Sagan. I agree. I know the ones I will treat with disrespect. Don't worry. There we go. Thank you, Siggy. See how awesome you are. Everyone in the chat loves you, Siggy. Honestly, the amount of support you give me and MC Toon and other debunkers, thank you so much. You're an absolute legend in this community, Siggy. An absolute legend. String News 1 for $2 says, computer, blow the pod bay door. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Mr. Toffee's member from 19 months says, bong, reload yourself. Oh well, wishful thinking. I've got enough for a couple more before bed, I think. Albius for $5 Canadian says, I love chill conversations and dumpster fires, but I loathe vulgarity and constant interruptions like George did today. Cheers. Hugs to Commander Riker. My little puppy's doing so well. He had his second set of vaccinations today, so he'll be allowed out soon. Just look at him. Look at him. Look at the cuteness of Commander Riker. Look, he just wants belly rubs. Don't tell me that you don't want to give Commander Riker belly rubs. We all know you want to give Commander Riker belly rubs. Sparky NJ for $5 says, just got here, I have to watch later. How bad was it? A mixture. A bit of a dumpster fire and a bit of a decent conversation. All good. And then the final one, we got the Sun Express for $5. Level. Oh yes, Bev. Well guys, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm hard at work on stuff. On both relaunching my Flerfs for Idiots series and the new kind of content that I'm doing gym wise, because I am still at the gym 6 days a week, getting super strong. Look, there's actually biceps. Check that out, man. There's muscles, guys. That wasn't there before. Woo! And I'm loving the gym. I'm totally addicted to it. In fact, it's like literally the first thing I think about when I get up in the morning is get fuel in me. I'll have some toast and a banana and some fruit juice, get to the gym and do my session, and I fucking love it every single day. I'm losing weight, I'm getting stronger, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do, show you what I'm doing at the gym and the way I want to do that content. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But yeah, I fucking love the gym, and it's changing me. I'm thinner, I'm stronger, I'm I've got abs again, guys. I might still have a bit of belly fat, but there's fucking abs there. I stacked the ab machine today for my core workout. So ab machine, put it over your shoulders. I can hold it with one hand because I can't hold it that shoulder, and you lean forward with the weights. And it goes up to 80 kilograms, and I can max that out because I've got quite a big core, quite a strong core. And my core workout today was starting at 80. You do 10 reps at 80, down to 75, 10 reps at 75, down to 70, 10 reps at 70, and so on and so on and so on. And by the time you get to like 10 and 5, it's hard just to lean forward. But it's awesome. Lento Men for 56 says, thanks man, good work. Thank you very much for your support. Guys, I've had a great time tonight, as always. It's amazing to see you here. I've already had more views on this stream than Nathan Oakley gets in a week. But I guess there's one final question that I could leave you with, and that is, can we pretend that airplanes are like, in the night sky or something? I don't know.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now.
Good morning. These words come with a storm warning. Better batten down the hatches,
I'll show you the abs.
and brace yourself for a long day of misery. YouTube has given me the power to reach up into the sky and show you all that we live on a ball. I bring you science that's comprehensible. Your view is indefensible. You're reprehensible. Go on, Mr. Sensible. When I was young, I never thought I would be here to see this. A pile of random nonsense dressed up as bulls. Your ignorance will be the death of us all, like running head first, full speed into a wall.
Who wants a topless calendar?
You could always read a book, buy a telescope, set it up and take a photo of the moon, or just be a buffoon. I send you in a balloon up to the stratosphere on page 3.
You're a few fries short of a happy meal. You're dumber than a box of hair. The wheel's spinning but the hamster's dead, and you're as smart as bait. You forgot to pay your brain bill. You're missing a few buttons on the remote control. 20 24 cents short of a quarter. You're surfing in Nebraska. You're as bright as Alaska in December, and you fell out of your family tree. You don't have all the cornflakes in one box. You got an IQ of 2 and it takes 3 to grunt. The elevator doesn't go all the way up, and there's a vacancy on the top floor. Your antenna doesn't pick up all the channels. You're several nuts short of a
You're Mr.
fruitcake.
Sensible, calm down, don't go too hard. You don't need the ASYLUM burying Flerfs in your backyard. You're a man of science, poise and grace. Mage 2 did everything to wipe the grins off the face. So Nathan, get away from those kids. The world is not flat and it doesn't have a lid. Recognize the differences between the textbook and the Bible and control yourself. Lay off your slander and your lies. You're a bunch of knobs poisoning the well of the youth, spreading lies that you like to claim as knowledge and truth. Stop spreading fresh bullshit like the butter on your bread. Maybe your musical assault will knock some sense into your head. I hope one day you'll hear these lyrics and smile, and you realize you used to be a 40-year-old child. Now it's time to wake up, open your eyes and see, and acknowledge the existence of.
You're a few clowns short of a circus. Your phone is off the hook. Your sewing machine is out of thread. You're all foam and no beer. You don't have all your dogs on one leash. An intellect rivaled only by garden tools. There's no grain in your silo, and your skylight leaks a little. Your belt doesn't go through all the loops. You couldn't pour water out of a boot without instructions on the heel. Your slinky's kinked, and you're proof that evolution can work in reverse. A few feathers short of a whole duck, one fruit loop short of a full bowl.
Airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars. Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? Should be wishing for a brain right now, brain right now, brain right now.
You thought it was over? Well, I'm still standing while you're swinging, flinging feces, talking shit just like the human centipede. You got the mind of a chimp, and I'm here to expedite your shore leave. Cause I'm a seaman, but not the kind I writ up on your mom's gums. I'm the kind that sailed submarines and fired guns. I could float a boat across the ocean with my eyes closed, circumnavigate the globe with a compass and a bag of sausage rolls. Well, all you can do is nibble on your toes. I'll smack you with the hose that you call a water level, sit and swivel. You nasal gazing muppet, you can stuff it harder than the wallet stuffed by Warren Buffett. And I don't care about your sauces unless you're serving them. And I don't care about your lines unless you're curving them. Now step away from me, you're sucking up my oxygen with the vacuum where your brain should be, you dumb fuck. Oh guys, I love every single one of you. Hashtag not you, Gary. Thank you for an awesome night, and I will see you soon. Where's that outro gone? There it is. Remember guys, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Oh, and get to the gym and fight the tight shirt. Fight the flat, fight the flat.